Ruben Amorim's first preseason with Manchester United ends unbeaten. Benjamin Sesko has officially signed for the club after being unveiled today at Old Trafford, and Mbeumo and Cunha have made their long-awaited Old Trafford debuts in front of the fans, and the atmosphere around Old Trafford feels fresh and rejuvenated. Let's talk about what we saw from today's final preseason match and how we can take this good form into the game against Arsenal. So Manchester United's final preseason match ends in a 1-1 draw against Fiorentina. I'm not counting the penalty kick shootout because, come on, the 90 minutes it finished as a draw, but if you want it, here you go. Manchester United actually beat Fiorentina on penalties in preseason for their final match. I'm going to go with just the 1-1 result because I thought that kind of fairly reflects how frustrating of a match it was. We started slow in both halves, and obviously the first half we were punished for that slow start, but I'll get there. Obviously, I want to talk about how Fiorentina did defensively. I thought they were actually really compact. They were strict. They were disciplined. And a lot of the times it seemed as if they were really content with double teaming our players like Mbeumo or Cunha or Ahmad or even Bruno. A lot of players were just constantly finding themselves isolated, not really having many options to play to. And I think it really emphasized what Ruben Amorim wants to do when United are kind of pegged down. But I'll get into all of these things. Let me first start by saying, it was honestly such a great sight to see David De Gea return to Old Trafford. It's been a while. We've had such a secure goalkeeper in De Gea. And I know towards the end of his Man United career, he was making mistakes, but I'll still take David De Gea over what we have currently. I think it just kind of proves and shows that we haven't done enough in terms of replacing somebody like De Gea, because today he was making saves that, I wish he was making for us. He was parrying balls not back into danger, but away from danger. He was just showing why we need somebody like De Gea, somebody of his caliber. This season, obviously, nobody really has full trust in Onana or Bayindir, but we're really hoping that Onana can step up in this situation, because if we're not going to sign another keeper, obviously the transfer window's still open. We've been linked to multiple keepers, but if we're not going to sign another keeper, then we have to stick with what we have. So I'm hoping that they can learn from this David De Gea performance, take inspiration from it. Bayindir did end up making a save in the penalty shootout. So I'm hoping that these things can kind of just implement themselves into the players. Now, obviously, going back to the game, it was a bit frustrating. It was. Like I said, Fiorentina did their homework. I noticed from the first 10 minutes how they were able to press us effectively. Normally, in our initial build-up phase, when we get the ball to Euro and we try to get it to Ahmad, or from Euro, we try to get it to Mbeumo, Fiorentina were constantly touch tight. And I think this will represent what we will see in the Premier League. A lot of defenders are just immediately on you as soon as the ball comes your way, and you're not afforded this space and time. It's going to be interesting to see how Benjamin Sesko kind of integrates himself into this team, because in the Bundesliga, you're afforded way more time than you are in the Premier League. Now, obviously, Sesko was unveiled today. It was a great sight to see, a 6'5", pacey, athletic striker. But in situations like today, where we didn't really have a recognized striker, and more on that because I find it very interesting that Højlund didn't play. In situations like this, where we didn't have a recognized striker, having Mason Mount, Cunha, and Mbeumo, interchange positions was kind of good to see. I think sometimes it still creates a lot of confusion amongst our front line, and I think it also creates confusion for Amad Diallo or for Bruno Fernandes. Now, I will say, Amad Diallo on the right-hand side was our most influential player by a long shot. He was getting the ball most. I feel like a lot of our initial build-up and a lot of our play was actually going through Ahmad on the right-hand side. There were times where he was afforded acres of space. And I thought Bruno Fernandes today was extremely tidy, extremely efficient in possession. He wasn't wasteful. There's a couple of moments where he was playing some really, really, really good long balls in behind to either Ahmad or Mbeumo. And I think this is what Bruno can do in that position. Alongside him, Casemiro had a very hot and cold game. I don't think Casemiro obviously should be on this side, but we have to make do with what we have. I think what really explained Casemiro's performance as a whole was there were times where he was reading the game well. I can't lie. He was reading the game well. He was getting stuck in. He was being aggressive. But then there were times where he looked lost. And some of our players looked lost. When Fiorentina was actually knocking the ball about, they actually had some decent spells of play today. I just think this game and this opponent really simulates well what we're going to face in the Premier League. Teams who like to sit defensively deep, who like to remain compact, but who are aggressive. No Premier League team is just going to let Manchester United walk all over them. And Fiorentina did not come here today to just sit back and let Manchester United dictate the play of the way of the game. I thought Fiorentina was actually good going forward. We caught them out a lot with our high line, but let's be real, some of those offsides that were called were not offside. So we got away with it. And having Harry Maguire, Heaven, and Lenny Euro in the back line, I thought today was pretty good. It was solid. Obviously, there's still times where if we get caught out with pacey strikers in behind, I still do think Maguire is going to get caught out. I think he was much quicker on the ball. I've had my criticism of him, but I think in terms of just moving the ball on, recycling our play, he was very quick. He was very decisive. And that's something that we didn't see last season. So I'll give my kudos to him on that. But defensively, still, he ball watches on corners. He ball watches when the ball's out wide and they're about to play a cross in. He doesn't mark anybody. He just stands there. And it kind of leaves us at a disadvantage. I mean, for the first goal that we conceded from the corner kick, I mean, how poor is that? How are we still conceding goals of this nature? And that's really worrying, especially knowing who we're playing the first game of the season. We're playing Set Piece FC. We're playing Set Piece FC. They haven't even had the greatest preseason so far, but you know that if they get a chance on a set piece and we're leaving players wide open like we did today against Fiorentina, Gabriel, Saliba, Declan Rice, they're going to capitalize and make us pay. So that needs to change. That needs to stop. I also thought our pressing actions today were a bit disjointed. Mason Mount did well to lead the line in terms of leading the first press, and Bumo, Ahmad leading the second and third. But there was a situation where Casemiro started to press and then kind of backed off, and it just gave Fiorentina a clear and easy way to progress down the middle. It was frustrating. I think today kind of showed us that there still are things that need to be worked on. Now, the introduction of Sesko into this team, how does that fix things? How does that change things? It definitely gives us a focal point. I think today we lacked a true striker. And the fact that Højlund didn't play today shocked me. I know he has those links to AC Milan. The club has accepted the fact that they want to loan him out and potentially get a future fee at the end of the season. But I mean, we lacked a striker today. We lacked somebody with at least that instinct and the ability to run in behind and the ability to run into the channels. And I think Højlund is good for that. Maybe his hold-up play today would have been absolutely terrible because I think Fiorentina's defenders were big, physical. They weren't really allowing much space. They weren't allowing you to really take a touch and turn. So I think Højlund's game might have suffered a little bit in that regard. But being able to turn his man and get him behind, I think he would have really helped us today. Sesko coming in, he's 6'5", he's fast, he can do all of these things, he can hold up the ball. I really want to see how he links up with all of this interchanging dynamic movement that we see. Because there are times where Cunha and Mbumo could share the same space on the pitch. And there's kind of an overload on the right-hand side, leaving us with space on the left for Dorgu, or vice versa. I also thought it was really, really nice to see, like I said, just Bruno Fernandes being efficient and clean. If we can have a Bruno Fernandes like that every single game, his midfield partner is going to have to step up, obviously. But if Bruno can pick out these passes, kind of take that responsibility off someone like Casemiro or Ugarte, and still remain tidy in possession. I don't think Bruno Fernandes lost possession too many times today, which is something that we've become accustomed to. But because of his higher risk, higher reward nature, it's understandable. I'm still of the utmost agreement that Bruno Fernandes is pivotal to our system. And what, position and situation, it really does depend game by game. But I think in a situation like this, in a game like this, where Fiorentina were set, they were disciplined, I think Bruno took control of the game pretty well. He was pinging passes. He was making sure that his teammates were getting involved. I also want to say, just attacking wise, I feel like, the front three could have provided a little bit more. I think Cunha in this game got on the ball well, but I don't think he gets on the ball enough, how he did at Wolves, to really impact the game. I think he could have done more today. I also think Mbumo, still returning to full fitness, but I think he could have done more today. I definitely think that his link up with Amad Diallo will improve as time gets on because you can tell that they have chemistry together. But at the same time, the play was a little bit lackluster once we reached the final third. That's something that I know will improve throughout the course of the season. But going into the game against Arsenal, we need that to improve tremendously. That needs to be something that happens kind of now. We have one more week into that game against Arsenal. So preparations will be made. I'm sure Ruben Amorim will be looking at this game and seeing where the team went right, where the team went wrong. But there was a lot of things today that I noticed that Manchester United could have done better and will need to do better going into the game against Arsenal. I won't take too much more of your time. I just wanted to, talk about something that I noticed that Ruben Amorim has seemed to emphasize in a lot of these players, and that's playing in tight areas. Having the ability to play quick, one-touch football in tight space and kind of exploit the opposition's press, bait them into coming into this area where they think it's sealed off. But Manchester United have actually done a really good job this preseason of playing in tight areas. I feel like we have players who fit the profile very much so. Amad Diallo is one who can really play in tight areas. Mbumo has shown a very positive first touch. Cunha can also do it. Bruno can do it. The problem and issue lies, and oh, by the way, Kobbie Mainoo, when he came on, I'll put a clip up now. There was one clip where he played his way out of danger. And that's something that I feel a lot of Manchester United fans are expecting if we, sign Carlos Baleba. They're expecting Baleba to do that. But Mainoo can do it as well. Obviously, the physical aspect is a little bit different. But I think Mainoo has a case to be a starter this season. Whether or not that's playing alongside Bruno, whether or not that's playing alongside Ugarte, Mainoo has the technical ability to do what Amorim asks of him to do in these tight spaces. Obviously, it's all about the long distance. It's all about the sprints. It's all about the physical and athleticism that really takes a huge part into this system. But I think, honestly, there are players in our system who have gotten better in terms of their close control, in terms of their ability to play in tight areas. But there are still players who are clumsy and a little bit slow, and they don't think as fast as other players do. And that can be a problem, especially against teams who like to play with fast tempo, teams who like to take it to us. Because I think we saw in the Premier League Summer Series, there were a lot of times where we were able to be on the front foot majority of the game. We were able to take it to the other team. They had to drop off a little bit and kind of contain. Well, Fiorentina did not do that. And Fiorentina is a good Serie A team. They are a good Serie A team. I actually was able to watch a good amount of Serie A last season. And they were one of the teams that were constantly being a threat, being a nuisance to the others. Obviously, they didn't finish top four, but still, they were able to find themselves in a European space come the end of the season. And I think Moise Kean did a great job of helping them in that situation. But seeing them today, it proved that Manchester United still needs to do more. They still need to do more. Obviously, our pressing needs to be unified. I think that's something we've struggled with for years. Obviously, seeing today with Casemiro kind of start the press, then kind of back off the press, that shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening. We're playing a team in Arsenal who like to retain the ball, who like to play U-shaped football, as some of my Arsenal or some of my friends who are Arsenal fans like to say. So they're gonna want to retain the ball. They're gonna want to retain possession and make it difficult for us to actually play. So we're gonna have to be quick. We're gonna have to be incisive. We can't second guess, and that works on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. So there's still things that United need to work on. It's clear as day that we need a striker up top, a pure number 9 in this system, because working with players who can play in that position but aren't familiar with that position sometimes can create a bit of confusion. I thought Mason Mount today was great with his pressing. He ran his socks off. He was working nonstop. But you still need somebody at the end of the day who has that clinical instinct. Instead of always trying to come short and receive or trying to interchange, who just wants to stay in that position, loiter around the last man, and find himself in a one-on-one situation. I think Sesko is going to be that guy to be able to do that. And I'm going to talk about Sesko in another video. I just don't want United fans to put too much pressure on him, because he still has to have that period to adapt to the Premier League. He still has to have that period to get used to the way that Manchester United play. Obviously, Leipzig and United play different types of football in a different environment at a different speed. So we still need to give the guy patience. That's why I was a bit shocked that Højlund didn't play today. But obviously, the manager and the club knows better than we do. I still think that Manchester United look good. It's still a positive result, finishing in a 1-1 draw. Last season, we probably would have lost a game like this. And I think these are the signs and improvements that we're seeing, honestly, genuinely from Manchester United, that I think it's looking promising. Obviously, we have to wait and see what we do against Arsenal. That's going to be the most important thing. That's going to prove what the work that we've put in this preseason will show us during the actual season. If we can get a good result against Arsenal, then we can go into the game against Burnley and the game against Fulham really set and kind of confident. And I think the confidence is key for this team. I think the players, when they're fully confident, they play 1-2 quick football, incisive football. They score goals. They have fun. But when things get a little tough, like a game like this, and where Fiorentina were fine with frustrating us, I think these are the games that the players need to build their mentality. These are the games where the players need to kind of understand that it's not always going to be a walk in the park. Even though you are Manchester United and you had a down season, this is a new time, a new era, a new responsibility for you to go ahead and take teams on, not let them dictate the way of the game. It's going to take time. I'm just going to end the video with that. It's going to take time. Obviously, we want to sign players like Baleba. We want to sign players like Wharton. But I think we need to look for cheaper alternatives. Maybe we dip into the loan market first to see who we can replace in that midfield. Because for me, I think Bruno is fine. I think Bruno has shown this whole entire preseason that he can play in that position. I haven't had any real concerns with Bruno, barring the Everton game where there were times where he did give the ball away cheaply. Like I said, today he was tidy. So if he can play like that every single game from that position, then we'll be good. He tracked back, he worked hard. Finding that partner for him is crucial. And like I said, we really, really, really need a number 9 in that spot. I'm fine with Amorim trying to close the game out with Mason Mount or, somebody who's able to run their socks off and press aggressively. But to start the game, we need a focal point. We need somebody we can play the ball to, hold it up, link up his other teammates and get our attacks flowing more. Like I said, Fiorentina did good today. They did their homework for sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Obviously, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there, tell you what I saw. I thought it was a good game. In certain spells for United, there were times where we were zipping the ball around pretty well. But other than that, it was a frustrating game. And I think a 1-1 draw was kind of deserved. We didn't really do enough in the final third to warrant a victory. And like I said, De Gea was magnificent. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about Bruno Fernandes today. Let me know what you thought about Cunha and Mbeumo. And let me know what you think about the Højlund situation. Do you think that Højlund should fight for his place at the club? It seems like the club has already made up their mind. But obviously it comes down to if Højlund wants to agree. And I'm sure that Ruben Amorim has a place for Højlund in the squad. But now that Sesko is here, maybe it seems like Xerxes will be more preferred. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But as always, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for your patience once again, and I will catch you guys in the next video. God bless you and have a wonderful day. Peace.